The Valerian Empire had ruled the spiral arm for 10,000 cycles, their crystalline ships gleaming like stars against the void of space. They were beings of pure energy contained within sophisticated crystalline matrices, and they viewed organic life as primitive and inefficient. Their civilization had transcended physical form centuries ago, and with that transcendence came an unshakable sense of superiority. High Commander Zix-427 pulsed with barely contained frustration as the latest reports streamed directly into his consciousness. The mining colony in the Proxima system had detected unusual energy signatures from a nearby star system, the third planet of a rather unremarkable yellow star. The energy patterns suggested artificial origin, but they were crude, primitive things, radio waves and primitive fission reactions. Another developing species, Zix-427, transmitted to the Imperial Council. Barely worth noting, but protocol demands we investigate any artificial signals in our sphere of influence. His energy form flickered with disdain as he reviewed the preliminary scans. The Council's response was immediate and predictable. Send a scout vessel. Catalog them for future reference. If they show any promise, add them to the Protectorate. If not, mark their system as restricted until they either advance or destroy themselves. The scout ship Crystalline Dawn departed immediately, its lattice structure cutting through space with elegant efficiency. Inside, Survey Officer Lix-291 prepared for what she expected to be a routine mission. She had catalogued dozens of primitive species during her long service, and this would likely be no different. But Earth was different. As the Crystalline Dawn approached the solar system, Lix-291 detected something unprecedented. The primitive radio signals and nuclear emissions were a facade. Beneath them lay sophisticated quantum interference patterns that should have been impossible for an organic civilization to achieve. High Command, she transmitted urgently. These humans, they're masking their true technological level. The energy signatures we detected, their deliberate misdirection. Her crystalline form vibrated with excitement and apprehension. The response from High Command was dismissive. Impossible. Organic beings lack the cognitive capability for such deception. Continue your survey. The Crystalline Dawn moved closer to Earth, its sensors probing deeper into the planet's mysteries. That's when everything changed. The quantum interference patterns suddenly shifted, and dozens of previously undetectable installations revealed themselves across Earth's surface and throughout its solar system. Earth's response to their presence was immediate and unprecedented. A transmission reached the Crystalline Dawn, encoded in perfect Valerian data protocols. Greetings, Valerian Empire. We've been expecting you. Lix-291's crystalline matrix practically shuddered with disbelief. No primitive species had ever detected their stealth technology, let alone managed to communicate in their own data format. Before she could respond, her sensors detected multiple objects emerging from behind Earth's moon. Massive ships of an entirely novel design, their hulls somehow bending light and space around them. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force, the transmission continued. We've been monitoring your expansion through this sector for quite some time. We believe it's time for our civilizations to have a proper discussion about the future of this region of space. For the first time in her long existence, Lix-291 felt something she had never experienced before. Fear. These humans had not only detected them, but had been watching them, studying them, preparing for this moment. The primitive species wasn't primitive at all. They had simply been waiting, gathering information, and developing countermeasures to Valerian technology. She transmitted an emergency signal to High Command, knowing that the Empire's assumption of superiority had just suffered its first crack in 10,000 cycles. The humans hadn't just achieved technological parity. They had done something far more dangerous. They had hidden their true capabilities until the perfect moment. As the massive human ships moved to surround the Crystalline Dawn, Lix-291 realized that the Empire's age of unchallenged dominance was about to end. The humans hadn't just matched Valerian technology, They had developed it in entirely new directions, guided by their organic creativity and unpredictability. The universe, it seemed, had been keeping secrets from the Valerian Empire, and humanity was about to show them just how much they had yet to learn about the true nature of intelligence, innovation, and power. High Commander Zix 427 received LIX 291's transmission with growing alarm. The council chambers erupted in chaos as the implications became clear. Their perfect empire, built on the assumption of their supreme advancement, was about to face something they had never truly encountered before: an equal. Deep within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, hidden in the shadow of a massive planetoid, the UES Aegis waited. Its quantum-dampened hull absorbed all electromagnetic radiation, making it virtually invisible to conventional sensors. The ship represented 20 years of humanity's combined technological achievement, built in absolute secrecy while the world maintained its carefully crafted facade of primitive development. Captain Elena Santos stood on the bridge, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic display showing the crystalline dawn's position near Earth. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Valerians had taken the bait, just as the xenopsychology team had predicted. Their crystalline superiority complex made them predictable. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the historic significance of the moment. Dr. Marcus Wong, head of the Quantum Engineering Division, looked up from his station. "The quantum fold drive is operating at optimal efficiency, Captain. Our ability to bend spacetime remains undetected by Valerian sensors. They still haven't realized that we've completely surpassed their method of faster-than-light travel." Elena nodded, remembering the day 15 years ago, when humanity had first detected the Valerian scout ships at the edge of the solar system. Instead of panic, Earth's leaders had chosen patience and preparation. While maintaining a convincing display of normal technological progression, the world's nations had united in an unprecedented secret effort to leap beyond the Valerians' level of advancement. "First Officer Chen, update on the defense grid," Elena asked, turning to her second-in-command. James Chen pulled up a detailed holographic map of the solar system. Hundreds of quantum-cloaked satellites and defense platforms dotted the display, each capable of matching a Valerian capital ship in firepower. "The grid is complete and undetected, Captain." The Valerians still think they're dealing with a primitive species that barely understands nuclear fission. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, monitoring the complex dance of deception that humanity had maintained for nearly 2 decades. The Aegis itself was a masterpiece of human innovation. Its quantum fold drive allowed it to manipulate spacetime in ways the Valerians had never imagined, while its organic crystal computing core, developed by studying fragments of Valerian technology, had been enhanced by human ingenuity and creativity. Deep in the ship's engineering section, Dr. Aisha Patel monitored the organic crystal core. Unlike the rigid, hierarchical crystalline structures used by the Valerians, humanity had discovered a way to grow crystals that could adapt and evolve. The breakthrough had come from an unlikely source: studying how organic brains processed information and applying those principles to crystalline structures. A sudden alert drew everyone's attention. The crystalline dawn was moving, adjusting its position in response to Earth's reveal of its true technological status. Elena watched as the alien vessel's energy signatures fluctuated, indicating its attempts to transmit to its home empire. "They're trying to warn their leadership," Dr. Wong reported, a slight smile playing on his lips. "But they haven't noticed that we're selectively allowing only certain transmissions through. The Valerian Empire is about to receive exactly the message we want them to receive." Elena felt a moment of pride in human ingenuity. The Valerians, for all their advanced technology, had become complacent. They had forgotten that true intelligence wasn't about achieving a final perfect form. It was about constant adaptation, creativity, and growth. "Begin Phase 2, Elena commanded. Throughout the solar system, carefully hidden quantum satellites began transmitting specific energy patterns, creating a complex web of quantum interference. To Valerian sensors, It would appear as if human technology was gradually revealing itself, layer by layer, each revelation more impressive than the last. Message from Admiral Chen, James announced. The diplomatic team is ready to begin negotiations with the Crystalline Dawn's survey officer. Elena nodded. This was the delicate part of the plan. Humanity needed to demonstrate its advancement without appearing threatening. They needed to shock the Valerians out of their complacency while simultaneously opening the door for peaceful cooperation. The Aegis's sensors detected multiple quantum fluctuations as the Valerian Empire's response began arriving. Just as predicted, they were mobilizing a significant portion of their fleet. Pride would demand they respond to this unprecedented situation with a show of force. They're following the exact response pattern our behavioral models predicted, Dr. Wong noted. Their rigid crystalline thinking makes them remarkably predictable. Elena studied the tactical display, watching as distant Valerian ships began moving toward Earth. The Empire's response would take several days to arrive, giving humanity time to implement the next phase of their plan. Send word to all quantum defense platforms, Elena ordered. Begin power-up sequences, but maintain quantum camouflage. And notify all other hidden ships in the fleet. Prepare for emergence but hold position. Throughout the solar system, humanity's true military power lay waiting. The Aegis was just one of dozens of advanced warships hidden in strategic positions. Each represented a different approach to space warfare, designed to counter every known Valerian tactic while introducing completely new ones. The game of deception was entering its final phase. Soon, the Valerian Empire would learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology. It was in their ability to think creatively, to innovate, and to turn their very organic nature into an advantage that no crystalline being could match. The Valerian response fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in a dazzling display of crystalline geometry. 300 ships, each a masterpiece of angular perfection, arranged themselves in a classic invasion formation. At their center, the flagship Eternal Radiance pulsed with enough energy to devastate a small planet. Fleet Commander Rix 890 observed Earth through his ship's quantum sensors. His crystalline form vibrated with barely contained rage at the audacity of these organic beings. How dare they hide their true nature from the Empire? How dare they develop technology that rivaled Valerian supremacy? Deploy the fleet in standard subjugation pattern, he commanded. Show these humans the true might of the Valerian Empire. But as his ships moved into position, something unexpected happened. Space itself seemed to ripple and fold around them. Dozens of quantum signatures suddenly appeared where empty space had been moments before, each signature matching or exceeding the power output of his own flagship. On board the UES Aegis, Captain Elena Santos watched the Valerian fleet's reaction with calculated interest. They're responding exactly as predicted, she noted. Begin Phase 3. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet revealed itself. Ships emerged from within gas giant atmospheres, from quantum pockets in space, and from within the coronas of the sun itself. Each vessel represented a different approach to space warfare, their designs freed from the rigid crystalline geometry that the Valerians considered perfect. Admiral Sarah Chen's voice echoed through the command channel. This is your final opportunity for peaceful dialogue, Valerian Fleet Commander. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. The response came as a massive energy surge from the Valerian fleet. Beams of coherent energy lanced out toward Earth's orbital defense platforms. But instead of destroying their targets, the beams simply disappeared into quantum sync fields, their energy harmlessly absorbed and redistributed. They've chosen conflict, Elena announced to her crew. Implement Quantum Fractal Defense Pattern Alpha. Prepare to demonstrate humanity's approach to warfare. The human fleet moved with orchestrated precision, but not in the rigid patterns favored by the Valerians. Instead, their formation seemed almost organic, constantly shifting and adapting. The Aegis led the dance, its quantum fold drive bending space in ways that made traditional tactical predictions impossible. Dr. Wang's voice carried a note of satisfaction as he reported from his station. The Valerians are attempting to adapt their battle algorithms, but they can't predict our movements. Their crystalline computing architecture isn't designed to handle this level of tactical flexibility. The first real exchange of fire illuminated space like an artificial galaxy. Valerian energy beams met quantum-enhanced human weapons in a display that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so deadly. But while the Valerian attacks followed predictable patterns, human ships seemed to attack from impossible angles, their quantum technology allowing them to briefly exist in multiple spaces simultaneously. Their flagship is attempting to coordinate a new attack pattern. James Chen reported from Tactical, but they're struggling to maintain formation cohesion. Their rigid command structure is working against them. Elena watched as the Valerian fleet's perfect geometric formations began to break down. Their crystalline nature, which they had always considered superior, was becoming a weakness. They couldn't adapt quickly enough to humanity's organic, evolving battle tactics. Show them what the Aegis can really do, Elena commanded. The massive ship's quantum fold drive engaged, creating a cascade of space-time distortions that rippled through the Valerian formation. Ships that had maintained perfect spacing for millennia suddenly found themselves dangerously close to each other, their formation shattered by humanity's manipulation of space itself. In the eternal radiance, Fleet Commander Rix 890 watched in disbelief as his perfect battle plan disintegrated. The humans weren't just matching Valerian technology. They were using it in ways his crystalline mind had never conceived. Their organic unpredictability, which the Empire had always viewed as a weakness, had become their greatest strength. Your tactical doctrine is based on perfection, Elena transmitted to the Valerian commander. Ours is based on adaptation. You seek to impose order on chaos. We have learned to use chaos itself as a weapon. As if to demonstrate her point, the human fleet executed a series of maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Ships appeared to be in multiple places at once, their quantum signatures confusing Valerian targeting systems. Each human vessel fought differently, using unique combinations of tech. No, Elena responded. It defies your understanding of those laws. Reality is not bound by crystalline perfection. It's messy, chaotic, and alive. Just like us. The battle reached its crescendo as both fleets poured everything they had into their respective resonance fields. Space itself seemed to shudder under the strain. But while the Valerian ships maintained their rigid positions, fighting to impose order on chaos, human vessels danced through the quantum storm, their movements guided by both calculation and intuition. Dr. Wang's voice cut through the tension on the Aegis's bridge. Their resonance pattern is becoming unstable. They can't maintain perfect harmony in the face of our quantum interference. The first crack appeared in the eternal radiance's crystalline hull, a tiny imperfection that spread like a spiderweb through its perfect structure. Other Valerian ships began showing similar signs of stress as their rigid crystalline matrices failed to adapt to the chaos humanity had introduced into their carefully ordered universe. Their fundamental weakness isn't in their technology, Dr. Patel observed, watching the organic crystal core pulse with ever-changing patterns. It's in their inability to embrace imperfection. The quantum storm reached its peak, and in that moment, something unprecedented occurred. The organic crystal cores throughout the human fleet began resonating in a new pattern, one that hadn't been programmed or planned. They were adapting, evolving, learning from the battle itself. All ships, synchronize with the new pattern, Elena commanded. The human fleet's quantum interference shifted, becoming something that even humanity's scientists hadn't predicted. It was the perfect blend of calculated precision and organic adaptation. The effect on the Valerian fleet was catastrophic. Their crystal resonance, unable to adapt to the evolving pattern, collapsed in on itself. Ships began breaking apart, their perfect crystalline structures shattering under stresses they were never designed to handle. Stand down, Elena transmitted to the Valerian commander. Your perfect strategy has failed. Accept that the universe is not meant to be controlled through rigid perfection. In the Eternal Radiance, Fleet Commander Rix 890 faced a reality that no Valerian had confronted in 10,000 years: defeat. His mighty fleet, the pride of the Empire, had been undone not by superior firepower or advanced technology, but by humanity's fundamental understanding of the universe's true nature. The battle drew to a close not with a devastating final exchange, but with a profound realization. The Valerian Empire's pursuit of crystalline perfection had led them down a path that ultimately limited their potential. Humanity, by embracing their organic nature and all its apparent imperfections, had discovered possibilities that the Valerians had never imagined. As the remaining Valerian ships powered down their weapons, Elena looked out at the battlefield where quantum energies still swirled in complex patterns. This victory wasn't just about proving human superiority. It was about demonstrating a different way of existing in the universe, one that recognized that true strength came from the ability to adapt, to change, and to grow. In the aftermath of the battle, debris from shattered crystalline ships drifted through space like stars born from conflict. But amid the destruction, something remarkable was happening. The surviving Valerian vessels had begun to change, their rigid geometric patterns slowly shifting as their crystalline matrices adapted in ways they never had before. The Grand Council Chamber of the Valerian Empire, for the first time in its history, hosted organic beings. Captain Elena Santos stood before the assembled crystalline entities, their forms shimmering with uncertainty rather than their usual unwavering confidence. Beside her, Fleet Commander Rix 890's crystalline form, pulsed with new patterns, signs of evolution that both fascinated and terrified his peers. The battle has taught us something profound. Rix 890 addressed his fellow council members. Our pursuit of perfection became our prison. We stopped growing, stopped adapting, convinced that we had reached the pinnacle of existence. Dr. Aisha Patel stepped forward, holding a small device that contained humanity's most revolutionary discovery. We've learned that organic and crystalline systems can work together in ways neither of us imagined. Your crystalline precision, combined with our adaptive capabilities, creates something greater than either could achieve alone. The council chamber hummed with energy as the Valerians processed this information. Their society, built on the assumption of crystalline superiority, was facing an evolutionary crossroads. The evidence was undeniable. The human ships with their organic crystal cores had demonstrated possibilities that pure crystalline technology could never achieve. High Commander Zix 427, who had once dismissed humanity as primitive, now spoke with newfound humility. Perhaps perfection is not a final state to be achieved, but a continuous journey of growth and adaptation. Throughout the Empire, changes were already spreading. The quantum resonance patterns from the battle had affected Valerian crystalline matrices in unexpected ways, introducing elements of flexibility and adaptation that had been absent for millennia. Some Valerians were discovering they could change their forms in ways they never thought possible. On Earth, similar transformations were taking place. The organic crystal technology that had helped win the battle was being adapted for peaceful purposes. Cities began incorporating living crystalline structures that could grow and adapt to their inhabitants' needs. The distinction between organic and artificial intelligence started to blur as humanity's computers evolved into hybrid systems that combined the best of both worlds. We propose a new kind of alliance, Elena addressed the council. Not one based on dominance or submission, but on mutual growth and evolution. Our differences are not weaknesses to be overcome, but strengths to be combined. Dr. Wong presented data showing how the quantum interference patterns from the battle had created new possibilities in physics and technology. The chaos we introduced into your perfect systems didn't destroy them, it awakened them. And your crystalline precision has taught us new ways to focus and direct our inherent adaptability. The Valerian Empire, which had ruled through imposed order for 10,000 years, began to transform. Their rigid hierarchy evolved into a more flexible structure that could accommodate change and innovation. Young Valerians, inspired by human creativity, began experimenting with new forms of crystalline expression that would have been unthinkable before. Humanity, too, was changed by the encounter. The discipline and precision they had learned from studying Valerian technology tempered their sometimes chaotic creativity. The combination proved powerful. Within years, joint human-Valerian projects were achieving breakthroughs that neither civilization could have managed alone. Survey Officer Lix 291, who had first discovered Earth's true nature, became an ambassador between the species. Her crystalline form had evolved to incorporate organic patterns, allowing her to bridge the gap between the two ways of thinking. Under her guidance, a new generation of diplomats from both civilizations learned to see the universe through each other's perspectives. As news of the changes spread throughout the galaxy, other species that had lived under Valerian dominion began to emerge from hiding. Many had developed their own unique approaches to technology and existence, hidden away from the Empire's imposed perfection. The galaxy was revealing itself to be far more diverse and vibrant than anyone had imagined. Captain Elena Santos stood on the Aegis's bridge one final time, looking out at a changed solar system. Valerian ships now moved in flowing patterns rather than rigid formations. Human vessels incorporated crystalline elements that sparkled in the starlight. And in the space between worlds, new forms of life and technology were emerging that defied traditional classification. The universe has always been both ordered and chaotic, she reflected to her crew. We just needed to learn to embrace both aspects to reach our true potential. The great victory hadn't come from destroying the Valerian Empire, but from helping it evolve. And humanity, in teaching this lesson, had learned one of their own. That true strength lies not in dominating others, but in helping them grow. The age of crystalline perfection had ended, replaced by an era of endless possibility and continuous evolution. As the Aegis prepared for its first mission, as part of the new joint fleet, its organic crystal core pulsed with patterns that were neither purely human nor Valerian, but something new and wonderful. The future that stretched out before them was not perfect, and that was exactly what made it beautiful.